crush a clove of garlic right now. Don't cook it. Don't add it to anything. Just crush it and leave it on your cutting board for 60 seconds. Something is happening in that 60 seconds that has nothing to do with cooking. The moment you crush garlic, two chemicals that were stored separately inside the clove come into contact with each other for the first time. They react. They produce a compound called allicin, and allicin is one of the most biologically active substances that any plant on Earth has ever evolved to produce. What it does inside your body is not what you would expect. Most people think of garlic as a flavoring, something you add to food to make it taste better, maybe something your grandmother swore by for colds, folk medicine, kitchen wisdom, the kind of thing that sounds nice but probably doesn't do much. That assumption is so wrong it is almost embarrassing. Garlic has been used as medicine for over 5,000 years across cultures that had no contact with each other. Ancient Egyptians fed it to pyramid workers to maintain their strength. Greek athletes consumed it before competition. Roman soldiers carried it on campaigns. Traditional Chinese medicine has documented its effects for millennia. 5,000 years of independent human experimentation, all arriving at the same conclusion. This plant does something. The question is what? Let's start with allicin, because allicin is the reason everything else happens. Inside an intact garlic clove, two compounds sit separated by cellular walls. The first is a sulfur-containing amino acid called align. The second is an enzyme called allinase. As long as the clove is whole, they never touch. The moment you crush, chew, or cut the garlic, the cellular walls break. Align and allinase meet. The reaction is immediate. Within seconds, allicin forms. This is not a slow process. This is a rapid chemical cascade that the garlic plant evolved specifically as a defense mechanism. When an animal bites into the clove, the plant floods the breach with this compound, because allicin, in high concentrations, is toxic to the things trying to eat the plant. But here's where it gets interesting. In the concentrations you consume when eating garlic, allicin doesn't harm you. It does something else entirely. It is absorbed through your gut lining, enters your bloodstream, and begins interacting with your biology in ways that researchers are still mapping. The smell you notice on your breath after eating garlic is not from your mouth. It is allicin metabolites being exhaled through your lungs after traveling through your entire circulatory system. Your body is literally breathing out garlic through your bloodstream. That is how thoroughly it moves through you. Now let's talk about what it actually does when it gets there. The most well-documented effect of daily garlic consumption is on the cardiovascular system, and the data here is not mild. A 2016 meta-analysis published in the Journal of Nutrition reviewed 33 separate clinical trials on garlic's effect on blood pressure. The results were consistent across all of them. Daily garlic consumption reduces systolic blood pressure by an average of 8 to 10 millimeters of mercury in people with high blood pressure. To put that in context, that reduction is comparable to the effect of a standard first-line antihypertensive drug, not a supplement, not a vitamin, a prescription medication. Garlic, consumed daily, produces effects in the cardiovascular system that match pharmaceutical intervention. The mechanism is now understood. Allicin and its metabolites relax the smooth muscle cells lining your blood vessels. When those muscles relax, the vessels dilate. When vessels dilate, resistance drops. When resistance drops, blood pressure falls. The body is not being tricked. It is responding to a genuine biological signal, one that your cardiovascular system recognizes and responds to as though it belongs there. Because in evolutionary terms, it does. Humans have been consuming garlic for so long that our biology has had time to develop specific responses to its compounds. But the cardiovascular effects are only the beginning. The immune system response to daily garlic consumption is, if anything, more impressive. A 2001 study published in Advances in Therapy ran a randomized controlled trial with 146 participants over 12 weeks during cold and flu season. The group taking a daily allicin supplement had 63% fewer colds than the placebo group. The group that did get colds recovered in an average of 1.5 days compared to 5 days in the placebo group. These are not small effects. These are the kinds of numbers that, if produced by a pharmaceutical compound, would be on the front page of every medical journal in the world. The mechanism here is multi-layered. Allicin directly inhibits the enzymes that bacteria and viruses use to invade cells. It disrupts biofilm formation, the protective coating that bacteria build to shield themselves from immune attack. It stimulates the production of natural killer cells, the immune system's rapid response units. And it does all of this simultaneously. Not one mechanism, several, operating in parallel. This is why garlic proved effective against antibiotic-resistant bacteria in laboratory settings, something that researchers began investigating seriously after the rise of MRSA and other treatment-resistant infections. Here's where it gets strange. In 2012, a team of researchers at Washington State University tested allicin against Campylobacter jejuni, one of the most common causes of food poisoning in the world. They found that allicin was 100 times more effective at killing the bacteria than two of the leading antibiotics used to treat it. Not slightly more effective, 100 times more effective. The lead researcher said he was shocked by the magnitude of the effect. The finding was published in the Journal of Antimicrobial Chemotherapy and then quietly absorbed into the scientific literature while the world continued taking antibiotics. Now, it would be easy at this point to conclude that garlic is simply medicine and you should eat it constantly and throw out your prescriptions. That conclusion is wrong. And the reason it is wrong is worth understanding. Allicin is extraordinarily unstable. The moment it forms, it begins breaking down. By the time raw garlic reaches your gut, a significant portion of the allicin has already degraded into secondary compounds. Cooking destroys most of it before it even forms. This is why the 60 seconds of resting time after crushing matters so much. You want the allicin to form before heat degrades the allinase enzyme. Crushing and then waiting gives the reaction time to complete. Cooking immediately after crushing destroys the enzyme before the reaction finishes. The form in which you consume garlic matters enormously. Raw, crushed, and rested garlic retains the most active compounds. Garlic powder retains some. Garlic supplements vary widely depending on how they are processed. Roasted garlic, while delicious, has lost most of the allicin that makes raw garlic clinically significant. This is why 5,000 years of human use consistently pointed to raw garlic specifically. The people using it as medicine weren't cooking it. They were eating it raw, crushed, and on an empty stomach, which, if you have ever tried it, you will know is a commitment. And then there is the question of the smell. The sulfur compounds responsible for garlic's biological activity are the same compounds responsible for the breath and body odor associated with heavy garlic consumption. There is no way around this. The metabolites being exhaled through your lungs after traveling through your bloodstream are sulfur-based. They are detectable. Milk, parsley, and lemon juice all reduce the odor to varying degrees, but none eliminate it. This is the trade-off that 5,000 years of human use decided was worth making. The people building pyramids, competing in the Olympics, and marching across continents smelled like garlic. They made that choice. What the research now suggests is that daily garlic consumption, specifically raw crushed garlic consumed 60 seconds after crushing, produces measurable and significant effects on blood pressure, immune function, bacterial defense, and cholesterol levels. The effects accumulate over time. A single clove occasionally does very little. A clove daily for weeks and months produces the effects documented in the clinical trials. The body needs consistent exposure to maintain the biological responses that garlic triggers. 5,000 years of human beings, across every continent, independently discovering the same plant and deciding it was worth the smell, worth the taste, worth eating raw on an empty stomach, or not operating on superstition. They were running the world's longest clinical trial, and the results have been coming in for millennia. The clove on your cutting board has finished its 60 seconds. Everything that needs to happen has happened. The allicin is formed. The defense mechanism is ready. What you do next is the same choice that pyramid workers, Greek athletes, Roman soldiers, and Chinese physicians made before you. The science just finally caught up to explain why they were right.